And good morning, everybody. 7 o'clock, Friday morning, 5 seconds to 7. We're ready for a new podcast episode. Just a few seconds. Let's wait for other people to come. And good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Inglese Vero podcast episode. Today, I'm gonna tell you a story, but a long story short. I'm gonna tell you a long story short. What do you mean with a long story short? It means that the story is long, but I'm gonna tell you the short version of the story. In English, we say a long story short when we want to summarize, when we want to say just the basics of the story, not all the story. So just to make a long story short, here we are. My story of today talks about my first interview after graduating high school. So my first job interview after graduating high school was in a big company, in a very, very big company in my hometown. Where I grew up is Castelfidardo, which is near Ancona. It's famous for the accordions, for the musical instruments accordion. It's famous for the accordions. And let me write accordions, for the accordions. And well, in that city, the business were going really well, and this big company was growing so much. It was about year 1999, 2000, I think 1999, 2000. I was about 20, 21. I came back from the military service, and I was looking for a stable job, for a real job. Because before the military service, I just did some jobs here and there because I knew that I wasn't able to maintain that job for a long time because I was waiting for the call for the military service. Then I did the military service in the police, and then I came back and I was looking for a job. So I was so lucky that my teacher at high school, I studied electronics and telecommunications in a high school in my hometown. So I was very lucky because everything was in my hometown, and I didn't have to take the bus. I didn't have to walk long ways. I just walked from home to my primary school, secondary school. It was amazing, and I would drive 5 minutes by car to get to work for the first years of my life. So this teacher of mine called me and he said, "Oh, Stefano, there is this big company hiring, and they are hiring just people like you. They're hiring, which is hiring and firing, which is hire is when you start the job, fire is when they send you away from the job." So they were hiring at that time. They were hiring a lot of people, and they were looking for people from that school, so from electronics and telecommunications. Back then, I thought, oh, this is my dream, working with electronics and telecommunications, beautiful, in a factory as a technician. That was my dream back then. I inherited it from my father, and it is still something that interests me, but it's not my passion. I mean, it's one of my thousands passions, like languages, like electronics. I'm very passionate about anything I do. So electronics and telecommunications and computers are really interesting to me. It's like, oh my God, I love them so much. But thinking of working in the field today, doesn't appeal much. It doesn't make me feel very enthusiastic about it. So it's a hobby. It's a hobby, but for me, hobby equals very high standards, a lot of study. Because when I have a hobby, I put 100% of myself into it. So just to make things clear, otherwise you wouldn't think about my hobbies as language learning. Language learning is a hobby, and don't fear it, because I put 100% of myself into this work I'm doing, even if it's just a hobby. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, it's my hobby, language learning, and it's, of course, is thinking about working with languages. On the other hand, it gives me, it enthuses me, it gives me enthusiasm. So differently from electronics, where I don't like the idea of working with electronics. I like the idea of playing with electronics, but not working with it. With languages is different. So language is a better hobby for me, because it includes also my mind, and not only just not just a device, electronic stuff. Anyway, let's get back to the main point. So this big company was hiring. They were hiring. Sorry. So I called and I set up an interview. And of course, I was scared. I was nervous. It was my first big, important job interview. But I had no experience. I was a young person. My only big experience, and it was big, the experience who made me a man, from a boy to a man, was the military service the year before. But the military service, formed my manhood. Yeah, made me a man, but it didn't make me what I am today. So I was still a young adult, and without experience. So I went there like unprepared, and it's just like, oh, I hope they give me the job. It's like all this attitude, which today I find really like unbelievable. Today, if I went to a job interview today, I would be the one interviewing the job and checking if the job is good for me or not. I wouldn't be begging for jobs, Begging is like, oh, please give me the job, please give me the job. No, today things changed. Not because I'm more arrogant, it's just, I am arrogant, but I'm not arrogant in that sense. It's just because I want to find the job that I like. I don't care if you want me or not. If you don't want me, good. It means that we are not for each other. Anyway, so I went to this job interview, all scared, all nervous. And the first question they asked me was this one. Can you guess what the first question, the very first question is? Like, good afternoon, good evening. I don't remember I think it was an afternoon or an evening. I think it was an evening, like 6 p.m. The first question, apart from hello, please come and sit, the very first question was, do you speak English? I was like, I wasn't even surprised. I just didn't care, So, do you speak English? No. It wasn't like, do you speak English? Oh my God, no. No, I was so stupid and so ignorant in that sense that they asked me, do you speak English? I said no, and I didn't feel that was a big opportunity going away from my life. And trust me, I was 20, 21, I think. I wanted to travel all around the world. I really wanted to know the world, to grow, to conquer the world, and I missed this big opportunity. Now, looking backwards, I think, wow, what did I miss? Just not to speak, I mean, I didn't have to be bilingual like now. I didn't have to be perfect. I just needed to say yes, even if it's a little bit. I mean, most of my students now, with their English, they could say yes, because they didn't ask for perfect English. They asked for, do you speak English just to survive, okay? They didn't ask me for a diploma or for a degree in languages. They just asked me, speak English. I said no, because I really didn't speak English, not even what's your name, how old are you, and where you're from, really. So, after I said no, they replied another very, very interesting statement. And they said, not they, I say they because there were two people, but one person spoke. He said, oh, I'm sorry, because I could have sent you to New York, not New York City, New York State, to New York. Actually, the town was Rochester, New York, upstate New York. Very cold place, I found out later. But anyway, it's New York, it's America, it's a dream come true for a 20-year-old guy. So he said, I'm sorry, because we were looking for someone to go upstate New York. So, sorry, no job for you in New York State, upstate, sorry, in Rochester. That's a shame. And I was like, oh, I don't care. I don't care? Seriously? Looking backwards now? Oof. God. Can you imagine? They would send me to New York State, to New York State, upstate. Upstate means because in the north of the state it's really, really cold. I think it's near Canada anyway. I would learn my job like as a technician, electronics technician, which I thought it was magic. I would speak English. I would live in the US. I would live in America for a while. And trust me, living in America is not a simple job. Living and working in America it's out of question. If I wanted to go now and work in America, it would be impossible. So 3 opportunities in one, and 4 opportunities, because also, in addition to this, I would travel to America, I would live in America, I would live and work in America, I would speak English, I would learn a new culture, I would learn about new culture, I would just... Can you imagine the growth for a young man to live abroad that way? And they would pay me. I would get a salary. Oh my God, I would get a salary. Can you imagine? I mean, getting paid for traveling, for being abroad, which later I did on my own expenses. So, learning English, it's a must now. It's not something that you think, it's not even something that you must do. It's something that is just included in the life curriculum. It's not, oh, you must learn English. No, it's not that. It's just you must eat. You must eat, you must go to the toilet, you must drink, you must speak English. It's unquestionable, okay? You don't question it. You don't question it in the positive, in the negative. You just don't think about it. Back then, my problem was that I thought I had a choice. So, in my arrogant teenage years, I have a choice. I can learn English. I can not learn English. I decide not to learn English just to go against society. Okay, that was the problem. Freedom of choice was my main problem, and I didn't understand that wasn't a choice to make. That was just like learning how to use the computer, use the smartphone, use the technology. Can you not know how to use the computer today? Can you really not? Is it possible that you survive this society in the next 10 years without knowing anything about technology? It's just impossible. Is it possible that you go without eating? It's impossible. Yeah, some people do. The breatharian, breatharian, I don't know how they call them in English. They eat prana. I don't know if it's true, but anyway, apart from these exceptions, which I really don't believe in, is it possible that you go without? Is it possible that you go without drinking? No questions asked. You don't decide, oh, I should be eating. I should take a course. I should take on a course on eating. I should learn how to eat. You don't ask yourself these questions. So why do you ask the question, should I learn English? Why do you think you want to learn English? You don't want to learn English. You must learn English. It's just an obligation for life, for prosperity, for wellness, for your mind evolution, for your body evolution, for your spiritual evolution. I mean, it's an instrument which you cannot not have. It's an instrument you cannot not have. And I learned my lesson, my friends. I learned my lesson at the early age of 20. And I wasn't shocked by that lesson back then. I realized that lesson in the years to come. Because after that proposal, they accepted me as a favor, I think. Like, oh, poor guy, don't worry. I'm not sending you to New York. I will give you a job in the line. Amazing. A job in the line. It's like doing PCBs with, I was 20-year-old, working with the 40, 50-year-olds who had been working there for 30 years without any mental evolution whatsoever. So I missed the opportunity to discover the world, the new world, and I end up working with dinosaurs in a small town without any other possibility. It's if I think about it now, it's a tragic evolution. Yes, they gave me a job. Yes, for a year I worked with a good salary. I was near my house. But is it good to be near your house at 20? No, it's not good, because I had to live with my parents. I spent all my money on futile stuff. I didn't save anything. It was a waste of time, waste of talent, waste of energy. If I had just studied a little bit of English, just a little bit. You know, the students I'm working today with, like the students from school that I'm helping, I mean, their English is much better than the best students of English back then. And that's why I tell them, don't worry about that. I will help you, because I know how important it is, really. I know that the English is a skill that will save your life in some circumstances. Save your life is not only when you have a problem. Save your life from a normal life, from a regular life. It will give you, it might give you, it's a possibility, it's not a guarantee. It might give you great opportunities, great possibilities, great life. Just a great life. I mean, of course, if you have a terrible life, English is not gonna make it well. It's not gonna make it nice. But if there is a possibility, English will help you a lot. It's like, if there is a possibility to do something great, the computer will help you. If you want to write a book, the computer will help you. If you want to, call your friend who's abroad, the phone will help you to call him and to feel the love of your friend. So the same thing happens for English. And that's a long story short. And trust me, it's much longer than that. And I made it very, very short for you for this morning. So thank you for listening to this podcast. It's been a pleasure. If you have any comments, any questions to ask me, please comment wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. See you on Monday morning at 7 o'clock for another episode of Inglese Vero Mornings. God knows what we're going to talk about. We don't know. Bye bye.